Very good morning to everyone. We thank you for taking your personal time out and being here today with us. I'm sure you will find this worthy. This is Afreen on behalf of EastCorp Group. I welcome all of you for first of its kind webinar series Week 3 on Fire Safety Security. This will be a 90-minute session and I'm sure you all are excited and curious as well about this program. Please use Q&A and put in your questions or query. We have our CEO, Mr. Hemant Thadse, who will lead this session. We are also blessed with presence of Mr. Rudvit Salunke. He is fire safety expert, having 16 years of experience in the field of fire and safety. He is a BSc in chemistry, advanced diploma in fire safety engineering from IIFE Nagpur, diploma in industrial safety, and postgraduate diploma in environment sustainable management. He has conducted around 180 EHS audits and 150 training programs. Currently working with IndusInd Bank Limited as an Assistant Vice President, Fire Safety and Security, Mumbai. Let us begin the session by a small prayer.
Let's close your eyes. One second. I think there's
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Good morning, everyone. This is Hemant Thadse, welcoming all of you in this Build Bharat webinar series, which we started on 3 weeks before, aiming creating general awareness amongst all the end users, business owners, plant and building owners in terms of fire safety security. Afreen, am I audible very clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. So just to give you a quick introduction here, why we start with a prayer, there is also a small significance. This is all about knowledge. It's all about knowledge sharing. So in our Sanskriti or in our culture, we call it a Jnana. And lamp is the symbolic representation of knowledge. So in the whole 90 minutes of time that we spend every Sunday with you, or you spend time with us, it's all about lighting the lamp inside you, create that knowledge, create that lamp within your heart, which will ignite your mind, which will awaken your mind. So that's the reason we always begin our session with a small prayer, thinking that lamp, let that lamp or light be there in your heart. And that's our significance, and that's our mission is to be all about. So welcome again. We are getting a lot of good responses and feedback for this webinar series that we have been started. And I really thank you, all of them. They have been consistent in all the 3 weeks so far. And our sincere effort is to make best out of it, create value, and share whatever we can, which will fill your gap and bring that awakened mind in you, so that when you go back to your work, you always have little extra sense of mind and more clarity in what you do, why you do. And that's how our sincere effort is all about. Yeah. There are many people who are first time comers. So maybe one person have connected with me. Did I miss anything? Or did I get disconnected in joining week 3, suppose? There is no disconnection, because every model that we are trying to create, it's going to add value. And when we begin, we will always recap what we discussed, so that in case you still have missed out our previous session, you still can bridge those gaps. Yeah. Mr. Salunke, if you are there, just raise a hand, so at least I know that you are there, because I think there is, I didn't cross check whether you are there still. So if you can just raise your hand, and Afrin can unmute him and say hello, that's all. So at least I know that he's around. Yeah, can you just unmute him?
Good morning, Mr. Khadse.
Good morning.
Good morning, all.
Thank you so much. So we will connect with you after some time, and definitely we are all excited to hear your experiences in terms of fire safety security, and we'll get back to you.
Sure. Thanks. My pleasure.
Yeah. So let me just recap those who probably could miss our first 2 sessions. As I mentioned to you, we have created a purpose in this webinar. It is not something that we wanted to promote ourselves or sell or market something here. That is not our intention at all. It is purely selfless and unconditional love that we have. So here there is no marketing is going to happen. We are going to cover fire safety security as the knowledge, or as the element which is common in nature in many ways. There are resources which are very common in nature, but there is always a gap, because you can't be expert in all the domain all the time. Need not to be as well. So whatever information that we are trying to give you here, we started with this why, what, how. So as an end user, if you're a building owner or a facility owner, or maybe a production head, maybe a utility head, or even for that matter, you're a fire safety security head, as an end user, what information or what critical information you should have, that is what the first circle that we are trying to evolve around. So first, including this week, we are trying to encircle or evolving around you in terms of why safety is important, why security is important, how they are interrelated, and how this can be helpful for you to know better. Then also we are going to take you to more deep down element in those 3 areas. We are not going to cover design here, because that's not our intention. You are anyway going to get expert or outsource expert, or maybe in-house people. But whole intent of this knowledgeful series is to give you a background, give you a technical background. So at least even if you are not a designer per se, At least if something comes to you as a design, can you read, can you interpret, can you understand that? So this is what we are trying to create an awareness. We covered that in first two series. The recording is available on YouTube. You can always go and watch our previous sessions anytime, anywhere. We also looked at some of the myths people carry, but what is the ideology behind those myths? Like when you say safety is our responsibility, we always have a very fancy poster or a banner in our facility. But if that feeling doesn't come in my mind as an employee of the organization or as a head of the organization, then that doesn't have any relevance. That doesn't have any meaning. So how that feeling can come, from where it will start, which is that Gangotri. So it is always from top and then it gets percolated to the bottom. And we looked at some of the narratives, how a narrative on the top can change and bring that change, bring that culture in the organization. Then a slogan just become a slogan. It remains in our heart that yes, it is my life, it is my responsibility, it is my duty, and that's how I need to take care of it. That's how I need to participate about it. So we looked at some of those narratives here, and we also looked at a very basic fundamental last week in terms of when we are trying to create a culture in the organization, from where it will start. When I say it will start from the top of the organization, but what exactly? Usually we always see that EHS policy, safety policy has been written on the top and get displayed at the gate of the facility. And we end our exercise there because that policy is part of your ISO management document. And maybe one or two times that gets publicized or we talked about it in the presentation, internal training, and we limit our exercise there. And that's how most of the organization gets failed in enrooting that safety culture. Although they are ISO certified, although they are internationally accredited organization, but when it comes to conversation on a day-to-day basis, right from top to bottom, that thought doesn't get created. And that's how this circle is very, very important. It starts with how we speak, how we talk, how we communicate internally, in what language you talk. Because that language, that word will create that thought in the mind. Chalta hai will not be there in our mind. It will be the purpose behind every action that we are doing it. So that thought is very clear in my mind. And that thought will lead to my belief. Belief will lead to emotion, which will be participative. Even if it is a mock drill, I know exactly how people communicate in terms of mock drill, before and after. Because that will help me to generate what is the thought behind mock drill. And then I essentially mean that yes, mock drill will help me in one day, even if God doesn't give me that one day, but even if it happens, I'm prepared for that. Yeah, so I have that belief created, the way I communicate, and that thought is going to create. And then ultimately it is going to create a positive emotion, energetic emotion in me, not only doing that action myself, but I'm allowing everyone in my organization, in my team, my colleagues, my friends in my organization also to pass on that same emotions. So that's how the feeling gets created overall, and people will get involved in those actions on day-to-day basis. Because it's no more just a banner. It's no more just a PPT on a slide. Yeah, because I know exactly that thought and belief has already come in my mind. And ultimately, you can say that safety is everyone's responsibility. It is seen in results. Yeah. So this is a simple science, very, very common, can be applied to your personal life, can be applied to professional life. But I'm trying to bring that extra knowledge in terms of professional, because when we look at the professional working, people or most of the people give more importance on technical aspect. They hardly work on emotional and spiritual aspect. And when you look at this as an overall, when you covered all three bases, it's like a fire triangle. oxygen, heat, and fuel, then probably it will be a complete sense of fulfillment, and that's how safety gets birth there. So we looked at this thing. We also looked at what are your learning management system in the organization. Yeah, trainings are very common, but trainings are predominantly done, barring many people in this forum who are doing it in terms of education, because training and education differs. Education is more broader in nature. Training is just a kind of a tool, or it's just an event, and that can get erased very soon. But when it comes to transferred into education, then it lasts long, it impacts in your mind. And that's how education is more important than just a mere training which will go into the file and record, and that's about it. So we looked at what are the education sources that you may have in your organization, which is could be internal, could be external. It could be a lot of formal training, informal exercises. It could be mock drill. It could be any event that you have. But ultimately, those events in the form of education will definitely create a culture in the organization. A second media, we looked at it, export. Hiring internal or external mentor, or creating those mentor in our organization. It could be mentor, coach, guru, whatever you can talk about it. But ultimately, they are the people who need, and they are the people who will bring that value in you, because not necessarily that although there are very experienced people inside your organization, if you hear from them, it will impact the life of the employees. Sometimes periodically, even if some layman comes or unknown person comes, and probably he or she is going to add value as an expert, as a mentor, it probably gets registered very quickly. Yeah, I'm sure you are experiencing this on a daily basis at home, at work. So expert always brings value. So are we using that expertise internally, externally? And then lastly, experience, which is very common. And when I mean experience, that means any accident or any incident or any mishap happens in our organization, our eyes gets open up, and then we start learning what went wrong. How can I improve on those? How can I not repeat this event in future? So experience is the major source. And when it comes to fire safety security, most of the organization, I don't know, but then if I'm not exaggerating if I say that 70% or 80% people or organization learn out of experience, or they wait for an experience to happen. And you have seen many articles, newspaper, events day in, day out. We only know that this organization didn't have a fire safety or compliance or inadequate security when any bomb blast or any fire accident happens. In truly sense, the facility was existing before the accident happened. Anybody could actually see that gap if I have an eye to look at it. But it's just because I didn't have that experience to open up my eyes, to clear my layers, I didn't understand gap. Neither I had that education to bring that gap, nor I have used an expert to bring that gap in me. Yeah. So when you're looking at an organization, are we looking at a combination of all three? Neither one will help you. It has to be a combination of all three. When I say combination of three, that means experience means what? Near miss. Are we observing near miss also in the organization in a true sense? Because that's the one that is going to give you a pre-warning that I may come any day. Are you ready? Yeah. So this is what we discussed last time. And also then we discussed about the very interesting part, which I'm going to take it forward. But till that time, till this point of juncture, anybody has any query, question, I can answer. you can please raise your hand. So at least before you move on, we can probably get an answer in terms of understanding so far whatever we have discussed. Yeah. Any questions? Any query? Is Mr. Deshpande here? I think he tried last time to ask. I didn't get time to. Mr. Lalit Kumar Deshmukh. Yeah, I have just. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was very nice, knowledge sharing by your team. It is very useful for us. Since I was earlier working in central government 20 years in ONGC Mumbai, and most of the time I have the fire safety exposure of Mumbai high-rise buildings. Sometime I worked in India Bulls Elphinstone Center. Just what I was looking for, one input from your expert team is really our state government, when we get the fire occupancy certificate, how they are updating the latest innovations as regard to global platform. Like in our company, I am presently in Mylan Laboratory Limited. So we are facing so many audits from the FM Global third-party audits through insurance perspective. And when we find out the local state government NOC's condition, that is falls far behind than FM Global standards. So is there any innovation through any platform so that all those global, at least at some extent, we can achieve those requirements through state government NOC procedure? So how to overcome those difficulties? That was my actually query I wanted from your expert team.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Good question, sir. I mean, I probably didn't get correctly, but if I interpret correctly your question, you are looking at two benchmark. One is in the form of local state authority in the form of NOC. That's the one benchmark. And then you have another benchmark like FM Global, which is third party um, insurance body or any independent regulatory body, which is also a benchmark, right? So you see a
Yeah.
gap, right? You see a lot of gaps because this is what is going to be minimum, and maybe this where you need to really stretch out and do something extra. So you want to minimize that gap to the best level, correct? Is that a question?
Correct. That is
So it is actually, if you ask me technically, I don't have an answer. But if I answer in out of my capacity, do have a control on those authority to bring the changes? Very limited. Yeah. So I would prefer as an end user at your place, we have to look at my own risk and based on my interpretation of risk, because again, whatever risk that we are interpreting, it's purely your interpretation, your understanding, your mindset. If you know clearly your hazard well or your facility well, your risk well, then it is up to you to decide what is my benchmark. Should I limit my compliance or should I limit my ability to handle uh, safety to the level of NOC, which is given in the form of NOC, which is minimum? I have no choice to deviate that. Or should I do more? In fact, I'm going to come up with the next or monthly webinar that is happening on this last Saturday of this month, which is only on safety compliance. So I think probably that webinar will answer more, insight. I'm going to bring their values because there is always a confusion like you, and it's good that since you have spent so many years, you know what is a gap. There are many people who doesn't go beyond their state liability or local liability. They consider that that's what my limit and why should I do more?
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but purely your perspective, you have to see what is my risk or what is my worst. Okay, what is my worst, and am I prepared for the worst? Like exactly like Corona, 100 times we never had that, this situation, but once in a century, this is right now we are in, and nobody organization was prepared for it. Nobody thought that a pandemic situation like this can arrive, but there may be many organizations which are still surviving or growing because they had that risk plan or mitigation plan in terms of business, in terms of facility, in terms of operation, whatever it could be, and they are prepared for it and they are able to manage it. So it's all your vision, it's all your clarity in the organization. How can I see long? Where can I see long? And then decide. I think there is no right and wrong. Even if you are restricted to NOC level, like there are many people, there is nothing that wrong as long as you are prepared for the worst, as long as you are prepared for the outcome of it. But if you think that no, I should go beyond, maybe FM Global, maybe best global practices available in the industry, which can bring my level of safety to that level. In that case, I'm probably going to be more happier. I think you should just go for it.
Perfect.
That is my answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
for
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, Mr. Saluki, you want to talk?
Yes, I will
Yeah, please.
start.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Would like to just start with the last question. What Mr. Lalit said. See, if you see the NOCs format, all the NOCs which are coming, these are conditional NOCs, and these are into can be considered at only design stage. If you see now, I have opened one of the NOC route, latest NOC given to my one of the recent office area. If we go through the NOC, it is purely saying about the construction or the design safety precautions to be taken, yeah, fire safety design at initial stages. So sir, as you rightly said, Mr. Khadse, we have to set our expectations. There are few things called must to have, nice to have, and best in engineering practice. So what all the NOCs are coming, these are must to have, and what all we are going on the top, that can be termed as best engineering practices, because the same set of challenges we are facing with our almost 1200 locations across India. If we talk about Mumbai is a little bit in a good shape, because when we take this NOC to the fire department, they give us a clear explanation. But when we try to approach a cat C or a cat D municipal corporation, then we don't have anything to just, we have to accept that, acknowledge, and keep the NOC in the paper. And if something goes wrong tomorrow, we'll be caught against that NOC because you have not complied with that things. Because in cat C, cat D municipal corporation, the fire department, they just follow the guidelines what is given by the Maharashtra Fire Services, because we find some of the most challenges in this. But in metros we have a better clarity in terms of these provisions are concerned.
Thank you.
so
Perfect.
so I'll just, yeah, so I just if you allow me for 5 to 10 minutes more, I just want to explain, just to have some more discussion on the topic. If you see in this fire safety now, the technology is changing, then the business is expanding, there's an aging of infrastructure, there are type of hazards and risks which are getting changed day by day. So it is always therefore very essential that our business conducts regular safety assessment. I'm just giving a small, yeah, ki if we see what are the three major elements where safety flows from top to bottom, if we call, it can be safety management, a robust safety management which includes policy, governance, and, yeah. Second can be a governance structure, and third can be a risk assessment or on-site safety assessment, where we can classify. Yeah. So we have that nutshell. In that nutshell, we can just try to classify the requirement as of now.
Yeah, absolutely. What you said is perfectly correct. Yeah. Thank you, Salam Kesar, for pitching, and it really helped. So, can I move ahead with the discussion ahead? Yeah. So, I think last time we probably, if many people were there and they were attentive, they can understand what actually we discussed the topic, and the topic was understanding the FOMO. FOMO means fear of missing out. Yeah. So FOMO was nothing but fear of missing out. What is my fear that I am going to be? Yeah. So this is a concept that I discussed, FOMO, which is nothing but fear of missing out. Now, what do you mean by FOMO? I gave an example in personal life that when I look at outward, outside my life and somebody else's life, maybe somebody is fairly rich, you really want to become a rich, or somebody is having probably a nice car, I may not have that car. Probably again that feeling that will come into me that why can't I have that car? But when it comes to organization, and just try to relate in terms of fire safety security, and exactly what we have been discussing with Mr. Deshmukh and Mr. Salunke right now, compliance. We are, or most of the organization are actually looking at their organization and having a compulsion for compliance just out of fear. Probably I may not even go into the depth of knowing why I'm doing it. Why should I do it? It is just an outward thinking which is making me implement that. Yeah. So this is nothing but an outward thinking. I'm thinking outward all the time and exhibiting my behavior. And this FOMO will only arise when as an organization is thinking outward. Somebody do not have a sprinkler system, why should I invest on sprinkler system? My neighboring guy is more hazardous than me, do not have even hydrogen system, why should I have? The other facility is still working since last 10 years without a NOC, why should I have? So this is how the feeling that comes in my organization mind, which is thinking outward, and this is nothing but called FOMO. And this is nothing but a journey. This is nothing but a journey. That means it is ongoing. It's happening on day-to-day basis. I'm always thinking outward. I not getting into the depth of why I should do or why should I not do. I'm just trying to be blunt on my thought process when it comes to fire safety security. I gave the example also when one of the Colombo customer that I was dealing with as a consultant for security system, just when the design was being discussed, he was arguing for Why should I invest on X-ray baggage? It's going to cost bomb. And number two, solid reason that look at this Hilton hotel didn't have X-ray baggage. Why should I have? And exactly after 1.5 months, the bomb blast happened in the same hotel what he was referring. And after 1 week back, I got a call. Hey, Hemant, can we add X-ray baggage? So it is again experience, what I mentioned about it. But the first feeling, if you look at it and compare, it is nothing but a fear. Fear of investment, fear of money. So in this mind, when the organization is working on, you will be always be in anxiety mode. You will never be happy because although you have decided not to have that particular system or equipment or a process, you're not happy because you're compromised. And that feeling, that guilt feeling will always be there along with you. So it will always lead anxiety, fear in my mind that if suppose you read in the newspaper something fire happened, you don't get sleep on the same night. Yeah, because you know for sure I do not have the measures what they didn't have, and if that happened to my facility, what will happen to me? Yeah, so you'll always remain in anxiety. Yeah, fear of loss. There is another concept that I mentioned about. This is called JOMO, joy of missing out. Yeah. Now, what is this JOMO? Like what we discussed about fear of missing out, there is another side of the coin called JOMO, and this is nothing but a destination. Yeah. This is nothing but a destination. This is FOMO is a journey and JOMO is a destination. That means I am looking for permanent happiness. Reason being, I am going to get a permanent happiness because my mind is looking at inward. Yeah. My mind is always inward. I'm not looking at adjoining hotel, whether he has a sprinkler system or hydrant system or X-ray. I know my facility well than anybody else. I know my risk than anybody else. And I can see that worst that may happen to me in my lifetime. I'm only praying that that should not happen to me. But if at all, for God forbid it happens, I'm prepared for it. Compliance NOC, even though that facility or my competition do not have it, I will look like a stupid guy to have that compliance or heavy investment. I'm looking at getting that compliance because I follow governance. it is my ethical practice to follow governance. I will not dilute my principle in any shortcuts, and that's the reason I'm going for a compliance. Look at the change that you can see. Yeah, when you look at inward, your things can become totally opposite, but when you look at outward, you'll be always in anxiety. However, when you look at this in the form of Jomo, it will always give me a true happiness or joy. And that's how this both concept need to be understood by every organization. Many people will consider this looks little spiritual in nature, but as I mentioned to you, this is a triangle. If you focus only on technical things and miss out on these two parameters, which is maybe emotional and spiritual, this doesn't exist. Your pie will not get fulfilled. And if you look at practically, looking in your own life, you see that this is exactly applicable and it can really change your life. So what is that change that I need to have from here to here? Or I will say from FOMO to JOMO. I am not expressing here that it is wrong to be on FOMO side and it is right to be on JOMO side. There are 90% of the people who are in FOMO. They are still prosperous. They are still growing it. It's all your purpose of the organization. What is my purpose of the organization? If you are really looking at a sustainable organization wherein peace exists, wherein happiness exists, not at the top level, it exists to the worker level, then you need to be on JOMO side. Then you need to see that how my culture is going to be developed, which will bring that happiness all the time, rather than just short term and be in that anxiety mode all the time and manage my anxiety by taking some antibiotic or medicines in between. So what are those triggering points that will give me journey to destination? What are those triggering points? So far, any questions? Anybody has any questions on this part, so that I probably can clarify if in case anybody has any question. Yeah. Okay, so no questions. So I think at some time if there are no questions, that means not a good sign as well. So I'm just trying to simplify this complex topic so that you can apply to your organization and see whether it is going to help you. Yeah. So let me just have triggering questions which will get me that journey from FOMO to JOMO. Now, I think in one of the series that I did mention that we always have a practice of making a emergency plan or a disaster management plan. and it is coming from the directives or acts or legally requirement that you need to have a disaster management plan. And most of the organization or many organizations do prepare their DM plan, on-site, off-site emergency plan. But those people who are actually responsible for making that plan are, you can count it on the number, on finger, maybe 1, 2, 3 people. That's what is called safety department. Primarily their role is to make this plan and submit it to the local authority, so we are complied with. So this is a traditional thinking. Again, why you are doing it? Because maybe most of the time it's FOMO mode. But if the organization is going to look at this action as a meaningful action, and first and foremost trying to find a purpose behind this meaningful action, understand that purpose, make that creator or author of the DM plan a very clear purpose in the mind, why I'm making this DM plan, for whom I'm making this plan, where I can apply this DM plan, how I'm going to maintain this DM plan. If that fundamentals are very, very clear for the creator, for the author, I think you are on right direction. So first you need to find the purpose behind the meaningful action that you are doing it. What is my purpose in doing that action? And I can tell you, this looks very simple, but it is most uncommon. Most of the organizations that we have been working in conducting mock drills, till that time we were interfacing or we were interacting them, they were doing this as an exercise because it has been told to do it by the top management, or it is coming from the directives to do it, or I am to maintain the record. And that's how this is my rituals that I'm doing it. Why I am doing mock drill in my organization? What is the purpose of doing it? If that purpose is known to the organizer of the organization, then he can probably have that thought process, belief, create that emotions, and bring that result in the organization that yes, this mock drill is for everyone. It could be in office premises or it could be at your home. Know your evacuation well. This is to safeguard your life in case of emergency. How are you going to respond? And this is for you. Practice it. And that's how mock drill fails, because people consider that it's a waste of time. They come down with the staircase or come to the assembly area. They do their smoking or chit chat or call and everything. Once they announce that mock drill is over, they come back to the work. Absolutely, they have zero understanding in what they are doing and why they are doing it. Yeah. So first and foremost, you have to understand any meaningful action that you are doing in the organizations. Find the purpose of behind it. Number 2, once I know the purpose, make that purpose or align that action as my purpose. Yeah. What do you mean by this? Is if suppose I am or my department is responsible for doing mock drill, in that process of doing the mock drill for the organization, in that process of educating my co-colleagues, friends, employees, staff in the organization, I'm actually helping them to save their life. So my purpose as a safety head of the organization is to safeguard not only my life, safeguard my co-colleagues' lives, my colleagues, my friends, my associates, my visitors, my contract laborers, my everyone whosoever is entering into my facility. So when you align that action into my own purpose, then that true inspiration comes in. The attachment comes in, the emotion will be totally different, the feeling will become totally different. So as a result of the activity will be different. So this is very, very important element. And again, it's important that we look at this as what is my organizational work purpose. And that's reason I threw this question at the end of last webinar, that ask yourself these critical questions. I don't know whether many of you have actually could retrospect about that, because this needs little more deeper understanding. And I don't think so organization actually spends time, energy, money on giving that value to the employees. They will probably make investment on how to do mock drills. Okay, how the mock drills to be done. So probably you are working on a outer periphery, but you're missing the main link. And then the third question that you need to ask is, my purpose align with my organization purpose? So the third question, which is very important, is this, that when I know the action that I'm doing is this, it's a meaningful action, and I'm going to create that action into my purpose. Third and most important element comes in, safety policy is written in my EHS manual, or when I enter into my plant or organization, I can say that it is signed, very well signed by the managing director of the company. But does that mean that I'm going to be contributing to that safety policy? And how I'm going to contribute it is this way. Because when my purpose is the same purpose of the company, to create a safe and healthy workplace, then there is no duality. It's one. You and organization are one, isn't it? There is no duality. What top management of the organization is speaking, you are also speaking the same language. And it's not occasionally, it's on daily basis. So this is what a deeper thought that is important, which is probably missing in today's world. Let me just give you a very simple example. If you have a very big plant where you expect a lot of vehicles to commute inside, employees, staff, visitors, contract laborers and stuff like that, and you always find a necessity of labeling those roads with a lot of caution signages, 20 kilometer speed, 15 kilometer speed, drive carefully, every 10 meter, every 15 meter, every, something like that, strategy distance. Then you come up with a lot of speed breakers. Then you may be involved a lot of consultants to make it more visible, make it more height. What is the material that you are going to use it? Maybe more reflective materials. Maybe that facility has got a little advanced signages. Why can't I have that? So you pay attention on the road safety by making more investment and attention on signages, speed breakers, warning signs, all the stuffs. But how many times you pay attention to the driver's mind to make sure that when he is driving or she is driving, and on top of it, if he is driving with co-colleagues, it is his responsibility to drive responsibly, that by any mishap, by any inappropriate action will result into accident. Probably we may not look at that mind. So this is what exactly what I mean is here. Yeah. When you create a purpose as a driver safety, you work on probably creating a healthy mind so that he creates that mind in a such a way that I cannot go more than 20 kilometers per hour because anybody can come in between, and if I'm distracted, it will result in an accident. And if that accident happens, it's not my life, it's my person who is accompanying me also can sacrifice his life. So better I pay attention while I'm drawing. I don't look at my mobile. I don't look at my this and that. I look at always what's my road and what's my responsibility. Yeah. Then probably you may not need to have so much of investment on signages and this and that. Yeah. Because you are already taken care of that mind. So this is the fundamental that I personally feel based on my experiences, that people, when they look at it, they should look at this. Yeah. Any questions so far? Any question? You can please raise your hand so at least I can clarify in case you have. Yes. Can you, Afrin, can you just unmute? Yeah, please.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Kurtse, am I audible?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I really appreciate the last line that you had, wherein we need to hit upon the mindset of the people rather than placing 10 signages on the road and blah, 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 blah. If we can hit on the mindset. Now, this is one thing which is very, very difficult. Personally, I'm talking about is to get through to people. Putting rules and getting rules enforced is very easy, but hitting on the mindsets is something very difficult. So with your vast experience, would it be possible for you to spend about 1 or 2 minutes wherein you can just enlighten us on how can we best hit the right notes with these people? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlson. I mean, I can tell you, when you say it's difficult, what is so easy in life? If you have to do a great work, it's not going to be easy. If you want to have success, it cannot come easy. And if it is coming easy, it's not a success. Yeah, that's me. If you are using elevator to go up, probably I may not have that same feeling when I'm using staircase to go up. Yeah. So it is a hard work. It cannot come overnight. It takes pain, it takes efforts, but I can tell you, once it is done, it becomes DNA of the organization. And there are many organizations you can see on the world, in this planet, whose mindset is this way. They work on this way. Any person who is joining, they work on that person mind so well that before he touches to a functional role, he has been screened through many phases that is mentally prepared for. But conventional way, when a person is appointed, we want result next day. We want him to be rolling. Okay, start doing this machinery job, start doing this safety job, start doing these things. So that is what is the difference. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I hope I have answered it. Yeah, thank you so much. So let me just, look at some of the area that probably we need to understand, and then maybe we can switch over to Mr. Salunke to ask some critical questions, which probably we can get understanding from him, from his experience. So I'll go back to the slide. When we are discussing these three elements put together, fire, safety, security, based on the discussion that we had so far, and Mr. Carlson also asked the question how this can happen, it's a long process. But you need to start with some basic baby steps. So what is the inertia? Looking at all three elements put together as an integrated element. First is habit. What habits are you trying to create in the organizations? Yeah. So are we focusing that in any of my management? What is my process? How I'm going to do the job? If an organization is supposed to produce some service or a goods, what is that process? How safe, how hazardous, how toxic, how it is? Do I know that process? What are the systems that I have? Knowing that process and habit, what is my systems? Manual, automatic, human intervention. How I'm going to be creating a system so that I can measure my safety performance, how I'm evaluating the safety accident or safety mishap that are happening. What are unsafe practices that are happening? So what is my system? What is my control? And then in and around, when we have a systems in place, when I have process in place, what is the people mindset around it? Are they really aligned to my company's mission, vision, or there is a misalignment completely? What is that mindset? What is the gap? And then finally, what is my smell of the company? Culture is nothing but a smell of the company. Yeah, and need not to be in one statement. I cannot agree to say that my company can be considered as a safety cultured organization. Safety is one ingredient. I'm sure there may be many ingredients that are required to create a culture, but is the safety inherent in my culture? Is it a DNA or is it just a poster boy? So when you look at all these three elements put together, these are the 5 inertias. These are the 5 forces that will bring that change. It cannot happen so quick. It is a difficult task, but it is not an impossible task. Let me also refresh what we discussed in terms of the journey from FOMO to JOMO. Find always purpose for your meaningful action. Whatever you're doing, first and foremost, as a head of the organization, doesn't matter you're a safety director or a managing director or a director of the organizations, whatever you are expecting your department or people to do it and you are doing it, find a purpose. If you don't find a purpose, don't do it. Secondly, link that meaningful action with my purpose. It is your role. You have been appointed as a safety manager. Is not something that you need to take care of your own safety. Your job is also to enhance somebody's safety, organization safety. That thinking has to be there. And when you are doing that mindset change, you are not only making the change that the person is aware about his own safety, the same thinking that you have, that you are taking care of your own safety, at the same time you are taking care of your subordinate safety, you are going to inherent that the same feeling, same thought process in each and every employee. And that's how this DNA gets developed. And it can be only developed when you have a purpose in your life, purpose at work. And third and most, every organization, or I would say every great organization, they rely on the purpose. If they don't have a purpose, probably that's not going to be long lasting or a sustainable organizations. So at the back end, definitely every organization need to have a purpose, but having that purpose in mind, you need to see that whether my purpose is aligned to the company's purpose. So my profession is linked to that purpose. So if you get this answer correctly, it needs deep retrospection. It doesn't come, but you can always use all three tools: education, experience, experts, and find out those area where you can develop the culture. Because if you have to develop a culture, you cannot expect that it can bring the culture by manual or by policies or by any one-time training that happens in a once in a year. It's a rigorous process. Yeah. So let me just switch over to Mr. Salunke, who is here today, sharing his view. He's been in the industry since last 16 years. I'm sure you heard. I'm want to ask him, and probably we need to get answer from him, that having known the gap in the industry in terms of fire safety security, people always take a back seat. I'm not asking him that why this is a cultural gap, because everybody knows there is a gap. Okay, so there is nothing new in that about it. I want to ask him specifically, having worked on an end user side, what are those specific actions will make the organization to go more than just a compliant, but becoming a more safer organization? Like exactly we started discussion, compliance and best practices. So what are those actions specifically that owners should have in their mind to create that mindset, not to remain only just a compliant organization, but remain a safe organization? So, Mr. Salunke.
Yeah. So in this term, see, I'm with the bank from last 7 years, and you can understand the pains, yeah, the efforts to make a banker understand in terms of safety. What is the importance of safety for a banker in a bank or in an offices? So what I'll just want to share how we have done it in an organization, in our organization. Being a bank, a smaller establishment, our employee strength is almost 30,000 plus, and we are spread across 1,200 locations across India, and almost 680 cities, rural, urban cities, and other things. So here, what we have done somewhere back in 2015. See, we also learned the safety in a harder way. So I just want to share the experience. We have an office building in Mumbai where there was a minor fire. I just say minor fire, but in that minor fire, we lost 4 employees, and that was a big incident for us. Means that was really a big incident for us. But when we investigated that incident, when we investigated that things, that post incident, there were a lot of things which was very surprising, which came up very surprising to us. Right from training, awareness, and mindset. It was all about mindset. What we are discussing from last 1 year is all about my mindset. We can have a best safety practices. We can have sprinkler, we can have hydrant, fire extinguishers, everything is there. Smoke alarms are there. If the person is unable to use it, or he's not capable to handle that during right emergency, everything goes on toss. Now coming back to compliance part, we had a fire NOC for the building. Fire NOC was signed off by the senior level officer from the Mumbai Fire Brigade, and still we faced the incident where we lost employees. And post that incident, we evaluated the risk and where we stand. So we had systems. Everything was there. Safety policy was there. Fire manual was there. Everything was there. But trust me, this was not properly communicated to the person who is sitting in the branch, or who is sitting in the office, or the people who are operating out of that premises. It was not really communicated. So how do we implement that? The first thing what we brought was a governance structure. Now what that governance structure included, it was nominating a office designate to that particular branch or office. We have nominated a senior person from that premises who is the safety in charge. We have told him that he's the office designate or the safety in charge of this premises. He has to undertake all the monthly affirmations in terms whether firefighting equipments are working, whether fire evacuation drill has been done, and other things. Central safety department was just given an input, but who were our extended arms, extended hands, were these our office designate of the senior guy of that respective function or the department. That was the first thing we did. Slowly then we started taking out the now I've initially there's a technology, we have developed some in-house applications on safety, on health safety and environment. Been into bank, you know, you may say this is these things are followed in the industry, but no, as a banker, because we have to keep your money safe, so we need to adopt some best some good practices where our human, we are safeguarding the human, including customers, as well as the bank asset and the customer asset, which is there in form of cash and jewelries and other in form of papers, which is available in the branch. So when secondly, post the fixing of the responsibilities governance structure, we have started taking monthly affirmations from the branch, from the office designate. What that affirmation includes, it includes all the things like placement of fire extinguishers are available, whether they are working, whether person is able to use it, whether fire alarms are working, whether the burglar alarm is working, whether there are proper minimum first aid boxes, equipment box, and other. These are, there are 13 14 checklists in the form of fire safety and security that we started. So these were the two things we have been practicing from last 5 to 6 years, where I will not say it is 100% compliance, but post that incident after 2013, we learned the safety in a very harder way.
Thank you. Very good. Very insightful. Now, since probably I can say that you are in a mid management role, you have a top management and you have people around you, 30,000 people around you, and you have a very specific role to play or implement those safety standards. I'm sure top management sees this as a most critical element in the organization, and they have certain thought process in the mind. And probably to some extent, they have communicated to your team to get it executed. So based on your experience, maybe not specific to your organization, but in generic as well, if you can, what are those initiatives that you think that can be rolled out in the organization, which will have that smooth flow from top to bottom? Yeah. So if the thought process is there in the top management in terms of making the organization in certain degree of safety standard, the problem exists that it doesn't get percolated to the bottom. But then you become a crucial role. You need to take those initiatives, and that's a challenge today in the industry because the mechanism fails. So can you just throw some light on this?
Yeah, sure. I'm into middle management role, and really, we are facing that issues where management knows what they need from the employee in terms of health, safety, and environment. But that now it is our duty, the function duty, to cascade the importance to the employees, to make them understand in the language they understand. So the best way, what we are doing, what we have been doing, is the e-learning practices. Sir, what you told in your slide, that is ELMS. So based on our experience, we have rolled out some few learning modules, training modules, which are given to the employees in form of e-learning, in form of classroom, in form of practical demonstration. Now in an organization, in our bank, what we do, we practice fire evacuation drill at our major offices where high density of employees is on a higher side, once in a period of 6 months. For branches offices where irrespective of the staff and strength, every branch has almost a count of 8 to 10 employees per branch. So we practice this fire evacuation drill every once in a year. So that is the in terms of training and evacuation and preparedness. Now coming back to some initiatives, what our management is slowly taking. I mean, because there are other aspects of security, like because now we are governed by Reserve Bank of India. So Reserve Bank of India have their different circulars coming up in between. So we have to comply with the circulars to safeguard the human assets as well as the bank and customer assets.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah, that's a big challenge for a mid management people, because you become a sandwich most of the time. Although your intent is very clear, it's not been executed the way you want. So good input for all the audience here from you. Any experience you want to share, which will inspire the audience today from your experience so far?
Yeah, yeah, thanks. Yeah, most like I was waiting for this question. See, I just want to, I just just want to share with the group. See, in India, we have one of the best rules and regulations, right? Because Mr. Lalit was saying, followed by other gentlemen who rightly said mindset is very important. But if you ask me personally, we are very much good in having rules. Our rules are coming from the model rules, which have been internationally accepted and as accepted by our Indian law. Secondly, what about generally our mindset that we try to outsource our safety on others. So in shortly, like example, now we take offices for in my terms, how I face challenges, practical operational challenges. When we hire an office, we don't take it on, we don't purchase an office. We take it on lease for 9 years. So if we are taking office in G+4 building, ground plus four, and we are occupying two floors, and there are two floors which is occupied by the other tenant. Now, Mr. Kharse, you rightly said that मेरे पास sprinkler है, हमारे पास hydrant है. We are equipped with fire marshals training. My guards are trained in special firefighting equipments. That is for perfect. But what about other two agencies, other two occupants who are there in different two floors who are not practicing? What now? For example, the building which I sit in Mumbai, there is one of the MNC company there sitting there on the third floor in between. It's a G+5 building. I have owned four floors, and they are into third floor. So now for example, daily challenge, what I feel, whatever things they try to block the fire exit, they try to park in the assigned designed area of the fire vehicles. They try to, so that's a different, because they know that IndusInd Bank is already there in the building. They will safeguard the building, and they will safeguard my employees also. So I have seen that we try to outsource our safety on others. That's the first thing. Second thing, I just want to address the senior designates in the webinar, that yes, Indian rules are very nice. Our fire NOCs and things are very nicely documented, but they generally they are communicate to the end user at wrong time. Because if you see our NOCs and our building codes, when the building is ready, we get a NOC stating that you have to follow this and this regulation. Till the time whatever comes is, and everything has to be written in the NOC is design stage, which has to be taken, because safety and other things, fire safety should start with the right from the drawing stage, layout stage, not after the building is go live, made operational. So we have, in short, we have a good rules and regulations, but the enforcing agency and the people like we end users has to have a strong licensing, and to just to bridge this gap.
Thank you so much for your valued time and insight today. Really appreciate your experience here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome.
Uh, Let me just come back to you with the summary of the discussion that we had so far, so that there is a good takeaway that we can have when it comes to fire safety security. I mean, when we look at these three elements, sooner or later we are going to go deep dive on this topic, but fundamentally we should understand and have clear understanding what does it mean to you. When it comes to this fire safety security element, first and foremost, the combination that we need to see that it is a physical act, at the same time it's a psychological act as well. Even if you expect a occupant, in case of alarm, leaving the floor using the staircase, it's a physical act. But unless until he or she is psychologically stable, they may not use the staircase, they might jump out in case they are not able to handle their emotions well. A firefighter holding the fire hose has been trained to hold the hose, but he has been trained to hold the hose only in the academy. And when it is ready for a real battle, seeing the live fire, which is a major in nature, and holding the hose, if he is not psychologically fit to hold the hose, it may not work out. It could be an extinguisher, it could be hose, it could be anything that for that matter. Simply terms, I will just give you. Getting into the car, we know that for sure a belt need to be wear for my own safety. Yeah, I might do that physical act of wearing that belt, but if I'm still not psychologically fit to drive the vehicle, not necessarily that it is guaranteed result that belt will save your life. Yeah. So first and foremost, fundamentally, we should be clear that this topic or this subject that we are discussing, it needs fundamentally both understanding, physical and psychological. It is even related to the security also. Very generic example I want to give you so that you'll be clear on what I'm talking about is in the airport. You might see that there are a lot of customs people. They are authorized to check the travelers to coming out with the luggage, and they are the people who are enforcing the code. I mean, probably they are doing the role of security for that matter, although they are not designated as security, but ultimately their role is to secure the revenue loss, yeah, which is coming from the luggage or any commodity that is entering into the city. You see that they always look at the person body language, yeah, how the person is taking his belongings, how he's walking towards the exit gate, even though it's a green gate. The security, the custom guy is observing the steps and obstructing only selective basis. Very common example, even the TC that we see on the railway stations, they don't obstruct everyone and each one. Right? They always look at the body language. So security also is that the same way. Although cameras are there, but as a security head, you need to see what's a body movement, what's a suspicious movement. Is it something happening? So, in nutshell, this is very, very important that are we able to work on a competency building where we are able to develop that psychological level mindset for the people involved in the fire safety security. These three terms, why we integrated into this is because it is interdependent. Yeah. Fire is, although it's been separately considered as a specific domain, but ultimately it is part of your safety. It's for life and property. But safety is a little more. It could be your process, it could be occupancy, it could be your uh, behavior. So, a lot of aspects. But fire and more precisely, fire and life safety is intended for only fire hazard and what's the protection that is going to be taken care. But safety is covering more broader aspect. And security is nothing but enforcing safety in the premises. That is what the security means. I remember I was in Gaya in 2001 and I was told at 6 p.m. in the evening, you're not supposed to step out from your guest house because it is not safe to go out in the evening when the dark, in the dark. So mindset was what? Not safe in traveling or going out. And why? Because maybe there is place is less secure. There is an insecurity. Maybe for a local person, traveling there in the same vicinity may not be that challenge because he feels secure there being a local person. But for me, coming from Mumbai in Goa may not be the same. And maybe it could be the another example, women's, right? when ladies are going to be commuting in the midnight in the Mumbai, and ladies who are commuting in the city like Delhi have a different experience. So they don't feel safe because there's an insecurity behavior. So both are related, and again it's integrated. Next week I'm going to throw it about some examples so that you will know the necessity of understanding all three parameters. Doesn't matter that your role is only functional roles, maybe safety or fire or security, but it's important that you need to look at holistic way as an occupant or as an officer in the organization, what is going on other side. Because unless until you know the other side well, as an end user, as a role model, you will not be able to implement your functional role also effectively. So these are the basic understanding that one has to have, and why we selected all three topics put together in this webinar is to give you the holistic view. We are not discussing here in terms of what is the sprinkler design, what is the spacing required, nothing. That may not be your prerogative, but as an end user, you should know that this sprinkler functions this. This is my operational requirement, this is my maintenance requirement, this is what I'm going to act, this is what my response required. Yeah. So I hope it is helping everyone, this webinar series. My appeal to all of you here is that if you really find value in this knowledgeful webinar, please spread the message. That's a list that you can do for us, because our mission is to reach out to maximum people in and around this India and bring that change at a national level. Doesn't matter the efforts are minuscule efforts, but that baby step will happen through these initiatives. And I'm sure the nation is going to be more stronger as we bring that DNA in view in your mindset, and that's how things can happen. Next week, our also going to be discussing on codes and standard, how codes and standard can bring that change in the organization, and what is the role of code and standards in your facility when it comes to fire and safety. So we'll have guest speaker, like every webinar we have a guest speaker coming in. So we'll have a veteran in the field of codes and standard next week, and we are going to hear from them as well, how it can influence your organization in terms of codes and standard as such. Yeah. So thank you very much for all your timing. I really appreciate your efforts in taking this 90 minutes from your personal time, weekday, taking your family out. But I'm sure this adds value. If you have any questions, put it on a chat option or mail it to our link that has been shared by Afreen in the chat box. We have Facebook group, we have LinkedIn group. Please be connected. We have a Telegram group also. Be connected there. Share your thoughts. Spread the message of safety in and around wherever you are. And I'm sure we will achieve this mission one day. Let's conclude this webinar by singing the national anthem.
Uttara
Thank you so much. We'll see you next Sunday, 11:30 a.m.
Thank you. Jai Hind.